All right, as this story says, coming out of Need to Know News by G. Edward Griffin, of course, need to know dot news. The story regarding Canada, of course, it's always a crazy story out of Canada. Justin Trudeau threatens consequences if social media sites don't ban hate speech. How about someone ban Justin Trudeau groping women and extorting the masses? Anyway, let's see what this story says. As the article goes into, Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau on Tuesday threatened social media platforms with consequences and meaningful penalties if they don't step up and ban everything his regime feels is hate speech or disinformation. And it shows here, I guess off of Twitter, social media platforms must be held accountable for the hate speech and disinformation we see online, and if they don't step up, there will be consequences. We launched Canada's new digital charter today to guide our decisions. Learn more about it here, blah, blah, blah. And remember, this is the same government that just gave like $600 million to bail out Canada's mainstream media. So basically, the Canadian government, I almost said dictatorship there, Canadian government pays medias to toe the line. It's out in the open, and I'll get into that more in a moment. But as it says, Canada's new digital charter. The 10 principles of the charter. Number 1, universal access. All Canadians will have equal opportunity to participate in the digital world and the necessary tools to do so, including access, connectivity, literacy, and skills. Number 2, safety and security. Canadians will be able to rely on the integrity, authenticity, and security of the services they use and should feel safe online. Well, you are safe online because no one is directly attacking you physically. It's words and stuff. Turn it off if you don't like it. Number 3, control and consent. Canadians will have control over what data they are sharing, who is using their personal data, and for what purposes, and know that their privacy is protected. Privacy except for from the government. Number 4, transparency, portability, and interoperability. Okay. Canadians will have clear and manageable access to their personal data and should be free to share or transfer it without undue burden. Number 5, open and modern digital government. Canadians will be able to access modern digital services from the Government of Canada, which are secure and simple to use. Carrying on. Number 6, a level playing field, whatever that means. The Government of Canada will ensure fair competition in the online marketplace to facilitate the growth of Canadian businesses and affirm Canada's leadership on digital and data innovation while protecting Canadian consumers from market abuses. From market abuses, the greatest abuse of the markets comes from the government restricting competition under the guise of ensuring fair competition. No, the individual decides, not some coercive organized crime cartel we call government. Ridiculous. So backwards. Number 7, data and digital for good. The Government of Canada will ensure the ethical use of data to create value, promote openness, and improve the lives of people at home and around the world. You mean government officials that want all of people's information and the ethical use of data? Whatever you designate as ethical, just like whatever you designate as hate speech. Number 8, strong democracy. The Government of Canada will defend freedom of expression and protect against online threats and disinformation designed to undermine the integrity of elections and democratic institutions. You mean people attacking politicians for being terrible organized crime henchmen? Puppets, if you will? I mean, again, it's another example of defend freedom of expression, except for when it doesn't benefit the state. So Orwellian. Number 9, free from hate and violent extremism. Canadians can expect that digital platforms will not foster or disseminate hate, violent extremism, or criminal content. So whatever you designate as hate, again, it's so subjective. Number 10, strong enforcement and real accountability. There will be clear, meaningful penalties for violations of the laws and regulations that support these principles. So let's talk about this a bit. First of all, I want to mention that, again, as far as hate speech goes, there is absolutely no way to designate that. When someone gets offended by, someone painting a building white, which I've seen before, people getting actually offended because someone painted a building white, especially in Canada, should that then be banned? Is that considered hateful? It kind of is very subjective, and if people cannot, take care of their own feelings, then that's on them. That's their personal responsibility. Freedom is individual responsibility and not coercive force by the state, which is just a domino effect towards complete collectivism and control and enslavement. I mean, yeah, were the slaves on the plantations protected ethically? Well, according to the plantation owners, sure. Not maybe not so much for the slaves themselves, but I mean, there's also the factor of Stockholm syndrome. But I have to mention, I mean, again, the Trudeau government has bailed out mainstream media, given $600 million to mainstream media outlets who were failing because people weren't watching them anymore because they don't buy the nonsense propaganda constantly being shoved down people's throats. But on top of that, having confronted Justin Trudeau, of course, I called him a scumbag in 2017. There's a lot more to that story because the media didn't cover it properly and didn't show me getting choked up by guards. But anyway, I got to the place. I got to the press conference. I was the first person there. When I was ready for us to, ask him questions, these people from the government came up to all the medias and said, "You can ask one of these 5 questions, and that's the way it goes." And I said, "Well, I have my own question." They said, "Well, then you can't ask a question." Every mainstream media outlet, Huffington Post, CBC, CTV, Global, all sorts of different mainstream news outlets were like, "Yes, of course, we will do that." I had a question about how do you justify people having to choose between feeding their families and heating their homes in the winter due to your carbon tax, a tax on everything. And, of course, they wouldn't have that. So I stood at the side of the room, and then I confronted him, and, of course, instantly, well, he was doing his, talking points that were already scripted. But then a security guard grabbed me by the throat. All mainstream media cameras turned away, and the guy pushed me against a wall. And then they told me to go around the cameras, and I said, "Screw this," and I decided I was going to walk in front of him and yell at him because at that point, there's no other recourse other than to get the news to pick the story up. And I did, successfully, though they claimed that I swore at him in front of children. There's no children around and all that kind of stuff. Normal lies that the mainstream media spreads, then copies and pastes the same story and shares it all over the place. So, what about my free speech? What about my free expression? And what about the fact that the government completely controls a narrative like a dictatorship? How about the fact that they call everyone Nazis while acting like Nazis? How about the fact that they are paying off medias? How about the fact that they are incredibly hateful by stealing the vast majority of people's income in order to, pay off the interest on the debt, which is fraudulently created by the printing of fiat currency at the Bank of Canada? I mean, guys, it gets so extensive. The carbon tax, a tax on everything. Rural communities are dying. People are getting more and more impoverished, and they claim that this all comes under the guise of helping the poor. It is so sick that we still have to deal with this and that people still haven't gotten the obvious fact that they are slaves. And the only way to not be a slave is to not obey and not fall for this nonsense. Imagine, I mean, as it is, it's already like this, but every time you turn on the TV, it's just always propaganda. It's programming for a reason. Shut them off. Shut off your television. But of course, my words are going to mostly go to deaf ears, except for our viewers here at World Alternative Media that watch us. But at the same time, independent media is getting ripped apart. This is the end of free speech on the internet, as far as I'm concerned, as outside of the decentralization, maybe blockchain aspect of things. Because, I mean, at the moment, we aren't reaching our subscribers for the most part. We are posting videos, and they'll get like 1,000 views in the first couple minutes sometimes, and then they'll just freeze like that forever and barely go up, maybe 5 or 10 over the next few weeks after. We are losing hundreds and hundreds of, about 1,000 actually, subscribers a week from our channel as our subscriptions still go up, but we're losing so many that it looks like we're only, making 2 or 3 subscribers a day when we were making 400 subscribers a day a while back ago. Over 700 people have messaged me in the last 2 weeks saying that they were randomly unsubscribed, and then I talked to YouTube about it, and YouTube says, "What are you talking about? That's not happening. It's all in your head. It's normal. It's spam bots." Oh yeah, 700 spam bots, I guess, have messaged me claiming individually that they've been unsubscribed randomly. People who've been following me and commenting on our videos for years. And this is just the teetering, we're off the cliff basically at this point. And the Canadian government is doing what the French government has done in the past. so many governments around the world and acted like an organized crime racket to control the narrative and completely destroy any remaining free speech that we have. And it's a normalization of the destruction of free speech. And this isn't really a private corporation, considering the fact that they've gotten billions of dollars from the government. And we're not talking about tax breaks. We're talking about actual subsidization through massive programs, including with the CIA and Defense Department and all, or the State Department and all that. So anyway, this is all about censoring information because we are in an era where the information war is really heating up, and what we do next means everything. What we do next, the next move, is how we decide our own fate, our own future. The access to information for free here on the internet and elsewhere is crucial to making our own educated decisions and not becoming slaves, not allowing another Stalin, not allowing another Hitler, not allowing another Mao. But instead, we have a government that has killed more than all those people, by the way. I'm just saying, over the last century. And we think we're in a peaceful, free society, and everything's getting better all the time. It isn't. We're becoming more and more debt slaves. I'm optimistic, but I also think that we need to break free and disobey immediately because we have very little time left to really break free from this massive, massive level of deception and misinformation that's being pushed down our throats from both sides, the right and the left, the collectivist paradigm, an initiative meant to drive us against each other, so we're busy fighting each other instead of looking at the true enemies, the ship of state that drives us against each other and creates order out of chaos in order to destroy our free will and our ability to be responsible and make us dependent and weak and stupid. That is a goal. And it comes down to you and what you do next that'll change everything. So again, for everyone that's wondering, we do have a Subscribestar account that helps you guys keep us running. We do subscriber-only content on there. We need you more than ever. It's really bad. I don't know how much more longer we can sustain it. I will always make videos, but I really prefer not to be making them while I'm homeless because it would be really difficult to continuously post videos every day. But anyway, it's just a heads up, guys. We are entering into some really shady territory, and we've already entered into it. It's not on our doorstep anymore. It's in our house, and what are we going to do about it? Anyway, until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
Like what you see here, OM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so heavily demonetized and censored by YouTube as these guys come in and flag all of our content as hate speech. The shadow banning is getting really bad, guys. Also, check our Bitcoin address right here on the screen or in the description below. We really appreciate it. And of course, check us out at the Red Pill Expo 2019. Of course, the great G. Edward Griffin and so many other incredible speakers will be there. Our link for that is below as well. And we cannot forget Mike Maloney's GoldSilver.com, which you can also find in the description. One of the greatest market and monetary historians out there. We really encourage everyone to check that out. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.